Please remain standing and observe a moment of silence in memory and in honor of those unfortunate, innocent victims who lost their lives in a terrible, racially motivated shooting in Buffalo, New York. Thank you. Hope, call the roll, please.
Councilperson Pamela Jaffee. Councilperson Jill Axelrod.
Here.
Councilperson Thomas Nardi. Councilperson Lindsay Ann Jackson.
Here.
And Supervisor Gary Zuckerman.
Here. Tommy had advised me that he would be late for the meeting. He is on the way and hopefully will be here shortly. May I have a motion to adopt the minutes of April 21st, 2022?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing for local law number 3 of 2022, which deals with the use of video conferencing in public meetings. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This local law is in response to in response to the COVID emergency that has beset all municipalities as well as the general public over the last couple of years. Prior to COVID, video conferencing was permitted. It was not widely used. Excuse me, we have a problem with the audio. Thanks, Pam. Video conferencing was permitted but not widely used. According to the Open Meetings Law, if somebody would participate remotely at a public meeting, the place from which they participated, their home, their hospital bed, their vacation home in Italy or wherever, had to be noticed and became a public place of public assembly, so that anybody could go to somebody's home, for example, if they were participating remotely, and had the right to enter their home. Although it is unlikely that such a board member would allow them in the home, but that's what the law said. As everybody is aware, during COVID, various technologies have advanced. Many meetings are on WebEx. The town meetings are on Zoom. And this has been very easy for members of the boards to attend remotely. And during the state of emergency, the prior strictures of the Open Meetings Law were suspended. So many boards conducted their meetings via Zoom, and obviously during COVID, members of the public generally, they could not attend in person, certainly, and they had to be given a Zoom link to participate. What the state legislature has done is they've made video conferencing technology available under certain conditions. One is that the municipality or local government needs to pass a local law, which is now before us. Other entities such as school boards need to pass the resolution to allow it. Some of the continuing strictures are that the meeting shall be held with a quorum in person. In other words, with our 5-member board, we could have a quorum of 3, and this is a place of public assembly, the public can come. 2 other members could attend remotely. And again, there are certain restrictions. You can't just say, I'm going to attend remotely. There has to be a valid excuse. What the legislature has called extraordinary circumstances. Those circumstances are for the various municipalities to define. Some obvious circumstances are illness, even parental care duties, for example. Those we will define a bit later on when we establish formally our video policy, which we will do by resolution. The other, let me just see, basically, this enables us to conduct meetings remotely, and one of the concerns of the legislature is that the public be able to participate. So how can the public participate? Well, they can come in person as they always have, or we will make our Zoom link available to all. And they will be able to participate via Zoom and, of course, via Facebook, live streaming, etc. Debbie, you've prepared an outline. Do you have that?
Yes, I have. It's in your agenda, and I also gave the clerk paper copies for anybody who would like that. So the
Where is it on the agenda?
it's an attachment with the local law.
Okay. 'Cause you were on top of it because I had seen the draft.
So just refresh.
I need to refresh again. Okay?
And it's right
So
under the
while you're
local law.
refreshing, if you'd like, I can read the what I have so far.
Sure.
So members of the public are welcome to participate in public meetings via video conference, the same as they would when attending in person. The board is not required to allow public comment. It can also limit the subject matter and length of topic. A video conference link will be published with the meeting notice. The video conference will be programmed so that all public participants will enter on mute. They may enter comments into the chat or click the raised hand to be recognized by the chair. All participants are requested to enter their full name onto their screen. Members of the public may also elect to see and hear the proceedings by following the live stream of the meeting on Facebook or through a link on the town's website. Remarks may be entered into the comments section. Comments from the public will be read during the public meeting by the clerk or commission secretary at the end of the relevant agenda item or at the end of the meeting whenever possible and appropriate.
Thank you. That's very well done. This is just a draft. There may be amendments to it. There probably will be. One of the things that we're concerned about is so-called Zoom bombing at our public meetings. On the one hand, we want the public to be able to easily attend the meeting via Zoom. On the other hand, we don't want people to do things that are inappropriate during the meeting. So this is the general outline of what our policy will be. Obviously, we're also going to include in the resolution a non-extensive list of reasons that members may choose not to appear in person, but this will be an ongoing thing. If we do not pass the local law, what would happen? Well, during the state of emergency, which the governor has extended through June 15th, there is no change. We can have total Zoom meetings. We can, as we did during the height of COVID. But once the state of emergency is eliminated, then we go back to the policy and the law as it existed prior to COVID. And this would not, what we're reading now would not necessarily apply. So this is our attempt to make video conferencing and the latest technology available not only to members of the board, but to the general public. So that's basically what the local law does. Do we have comments from the board? Pam?
I have to say, one thing that has been wonderful about the pandemic is the proliferation of virtuality, because I do feel like we've had more people be able to participate in government across the board, and we've seen it not only in the town, but in other levels. I understand Zoom bombing is an option. Something that I personally might like to do is talk to your tech group, Debbie. I'm not the techiest soul in the world, but if we were to continue with this, I would recommend something along the lines of having people register to attend the Zoom, make it more of a webinar, and then let's look into multi-streaming. So we're not streaming just to Facebook, we're streaming across to YouTube, we're streaming into Instagram. We don't get a huge following on Facebook. Not a lot of people other than a certain demographic are still on Facebook. But if we multi-stream onto social platforms, it allows us to still take comments without the fear of a Zoom bomb. And also actually allows us to hit more constituents, more demographics of constituents where they are. In my line of work in media and social media, we know that the demographic for Facebook certainly skews much older. Basically, the Jills and Pams of the world are on Facebook. If we want to get younger people involved in government, we really should look to be where they are, and I'd be very happy to work with the tech team.
Thank you. We
On that.
actually are, we've just added another piece of equipment to our video mix, which will allow us to live stream to multiple streams all at once, including all that you've just mentioned.
Great. I think that would be a really wonderful option. I think we're seeing people be more involved in government, and we see who shows up to our meetings every month. I wish more people would. But I do feel like we have a better chance of getting them in their homes and getting them activated and talking. We saw that just 1 month ago when we invited people in for a public session, and they were very comfortable coming and talking with us. And should they put their hands up and say, I would like to actually talk, I'd like to be in the Zoom, please come, join our meeting via Zoom.
Yeah, totally agreed, and that is the thrust of it. As horrible as the pandemic has been, it has advanced technology to a terrific degree, and we're going to attempt to take advantage of it, and this is the first step. I think those are really, really good suggestions to make the town and the meetings more accessible to more people. And I welcome Councilman Tom Nardi. Thank you.
Sorry I'm late.
Well, I announced that you would be late, and here you are.
I have a question, Pam. Could you fill out the idea of pre-registering that you mentioned? How do you think that might work?
I believe that you can create a Zoom webinar as opposed to just a typical Zoom, which is what I think we have, because people can pop up on screen along with us.
Mm-hmm.
And then within that technology, on the back end, you can certainly make it so that it is by invite only. So whether they register, and we offer out a registration link across our social medias, or in notice, and then we can send the link to the webinar directly to the people who want to participate in a given month. It can go out in our advertisements. I know we definitely put notices into the Westmore News, If you want to participate actively in the meeting, please email or please register at. Otherwise, it will be broadcast via and public comments are welcomed. Just becomes a boilerplate line that we put into our notice. And then we look at the back end, and if Zoom isn't as functional as something like Crowdcast, we'll take a look at other platforms. I know Crowdcast easily allows for multi-stream.
Very good, thank
I
you.
think those are really good ideas. Excellent, thank you. Anybody else from the council? No? Do we have any comments coming in from Facebook or from?
Not a
Zoom?
one.
No, not a one. Not a one. All right.
All those YouTubers. Where is it?
Well, what I'm going to suggest.
It's easier to find also on YouTube in perpetuity.
All right, what I'm going to suggest is that we hold the public meeting open, not vote tonight. I am waiting to see what other communities are doing in terms of how they're wording their local laws. I don't know that anybody has passed one yet. I know that some of the supervisors have been talking about doing it. The local law that is before you is a form that was recommended by the Association of Towns. There are others. We may want to include a little bit more detail than we have, or not, as the case may be. But I am of the belief that the governor will extend the state of emergency one more time, at least since we have COVID increases.
Rampant.
And I don't think that she is going to be taking the state of emergency off in the next 30 days. So we have time to do this next month and give it further consideration.
And talk internally
And
with the
talk,
team to see what
yeah.
we can do.
Yeah, I mean, Pam, you just came up with this really, really good idea, and some of the other members may also. And I know that that Westchester County is working on a law.
So see what everyone's doing.
Yeah.
Don't mind being at the head of the
County
pack.
is doing it through a WebEx system, and they do have the webinar. But what's nice about that is people don't have to necessarily pre-register. They can just simply raise their hands if they'd like to speak, because I've been coordinating it for the Airport Advisory Board. And I like that concept a lot better because, not everyone has the intention of speaking up during a meeting, but something may come about. So,
In a webinar, I'm sorry, someone has to be called onto screen. So once again, it's making someone
Co-
face
correct.
this, and they're just, a hand or a voice or a chat. But if someone wants to be face-to-face with Gary, so I'm trying to think, they could be invited to the panel and invited onto the panel if we know that they want.
yeah, you can make someone a panelist.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think these are all subjects of discussion. Debbie and I discussed it because previously, the Board of Legislators, and I don't know what their local law is going to contain, but at their public hearings, have people register. You have to fill out a card. I don't know if they still do it. When I was consulting there, you had to fill out a card and to speak publicly, and that's the kind of situation that we're talking about. I kind of like what Lindsay is saying, if it's feasible, that people can just come and be there and talk if they want to, or not talk if they don't want to. Unless we get hit with Zoom bombing for some reason, then.
Or disco.
Pardon?
Or disco.
I bet someone outside.
Why are we outside bombed?
Oh,
Oh, my God.
Okay, the meeting is slightly interrupted by an ice cream truck outside. Okay? That's because it's a park. Anyway, we can work this over. We have some time to do it, and all of these ideas are really good ideas, how we do this. So good. So we will adjourn the public hearing to next month, which is June 16th.
And Debbie, can you have your team look into some platforms and We can
Sure.
email about functionalities.
As I said, the equipment that we already took delivery on will stream to multiple platforms. I think we're doing it already, but absolutely we'll put it into practice.
I'm just sitting here wondering if we have a town Instagram. I know we have a sustainability Instagram.
I believe we do.
See, we're bad. Okay, there you go. We didn't even know. But we'll work on that either way.
Pam, you say you don't know much, but you are the maven on this council, because you know more than, I think, any of us.
I don't know if we have an Instagram account. That's really sad. Lindsay.
Crawford has one, I know, and Rytown Park has one. I believe we have one. Hold on, let me look at my Instagram, because I think I follow.
That is Lindsay's demographic.
Okay. Next item, presentation.
Oh, yes, we do. Town of Rye.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, one less thing to do.
All right, here, the town council is sitting up here not knowing, unless we look it up, that we have our own Instagram account.
That's sad.
Well, I'd just like to verify. I'm pretty sure we did, but
Okay. Community cleanup and planting day debrief. And we have before us Melissa Grieco.
Do you guys have a copy of the presentation so you can follow along?
Should be in our agenda.
Yeah,
notes.
it's in the agenda package.
Okay. Great.
Can you advance the slides yourself?
I think so. Janai told me I can just hit this arrow, so I think I should be able to do it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it's hard to believe that it's been about a month since the cleanup. It was a planting day. And just like last April, we did a cleanup and planting theme, and we coincided it with Earth Week. In fact, it was the Saturday, the day after Earth Day. There were other events happening in neighboring communities, but we still got a really good turnout. We had wonderful weather, so that all worked really well. We had 5 municipalities participating in this effort. Town of Rye, of course, Rhinebeck, Portchester, City of Rye, and Village of Rybrook. I'm not, see, that doesn't work. How do I do this? The arrow is not working after all. It's a PDF. Oh, there we are. Okay, so just, can I do this? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you, Debbie. So as we've done with past events, we assigned a site captain for each different site, and the site captain was in charge of sort of managing the logistics of the event the day of and helping out with any promotion and marketing of the event. And I would like to give a big shout out and thank you to each of them. At Crawford, we had Debbie. In Village of Rybrook at the Senior Center, we had Gregory Rivera, who is actually new to the Village of Rybrook. He's the new, I believe he's the assistant, and he just kicked the ball out of the park. He did a really stellar job. He really rose to the occasion. He, confessedly, he said he did not know anything about gardening or plants, so he had a really high learning curve, and he worked in tandem with Vic to source a whole bunch of native plants for this event. He really went out of his way, so big shout out to Greg. In Rhinebeck, we had Christy Young, and in Portchester, Amanda Barrow, and at Rytown Park, we had Tracy Stora. So big thank you to all of them for volunteering their time and effort to do this. Over at Rytown Park, we added a new twist this year. The town and the city collaborated to purchase 40 cubic yards of the compost that has been generated by the City of Rye Food Scrap Recycling Initiative. So basically, residents of the City of Rye are dropping off food scraps at the Disbrow Park. It is picked up, it is taken to an industrial composting facility in Kingston, New York. It is turned into compost in a series of steps. And last year they had scheduled a compost give back day. I believe it was at Disbrow Park. It was kind of hidden. I think they got people coming to pick it up. It was given back to the community free of charge on a first come, first served basis. And this year, I think it was nice that we said use Rytown Park for this compost. and any town of Rye resident can come and pick it up, bring their own container. So that happened in tandem with the plantings everywhere, and at Rye Town Park it really did turn into a more composting themed event, and the volunteers lugged some mulch from the big pile over to the beds around the admin building and applied it to the beds. And I think it was a nice example of true like closed loop recycling. The compost was generated by food consumed by the city of Rye, residents of the city of Rye, and given back to the earth to amend the soil to make it more fertile. So it's just very nice and very good for Earth Day too. Next slide is a screen capture of a Rye Record article that ran on April the 9th, and the Rye Record has always given our events a lot of coverage over the past 2 years, and that's been really helpful in recruiting volunteers, and the article included details and description of the event leading up to it, and a link as to where to register as a volunteer. So thank you to the Rye Record for helping us promote and get the word out about the event. In terms of event participation, this year we had 117 total registrants between all 5 sites. And I think we really lucked out with the weather over the past 4 events, and that was no exception with this April's event. We had a beautiful spring day, and approximately 80 volunteers showed up to help between all 5 sites, which is a great turnout, especially given that there were many other competing activities happening for Earth Day. So we had, as I mentioned, at Rye Town Park, we had a lot of mulching happening. At the Senior Center in Rybrook, thanks to Greg's sourcing of all these plants, we had a lot of activity actually installing a whole bunch of native plants. And I think it was the Parks Department was very helpful in giving a demonstration and tutorial on how to properly install these plants. And I did notice the high school students, there were many high schoolers there, and they really paid attention. They seemed to enjoy learning how to do this all, but we were shown how to use the containers and create an imprint in the soil, which then guides you on how big to dig the hole and where to dig the hole before you just willy-nilly start digging. How to then remove the plants from the plastic containers without damaging them, and how to use a spade properly, because I did observe some of the students trying to kind of like muscle the spade, and then they were shown that you could use the little flat platforms on either side of the handle to use your foot to really dig in. And then we were shown how deep to put the plants so as to make sure that they weren't overly covered with soil, and exactly how much roots to cover. So again, a lot of the people there hadn't done this type of gardening before, so it was very educational, and everyone seemed to have a really good time. I'm not sure about all the plant species that were installed at the different other sites other than Rybrook at the Senior Center, but if you have a chance to go over to the Senior Center, it really has, I think, made a huge difference, a huge impact. It looks really nice. And I did take some before pictures. Unfortunately, there was some snow coverage, so it doesn't really give the full picture. But I really hope that the seniors who visit this facility have noticed and are enjoying all the colorful plants that we put in. And on the slide that hopefully you have in front of you, that's a picture of one of the planters that before they were, there was really nothing in them, and there was some sort of, I think they were a bit weedy, and Vic and Greg worked to sort of like put the plants in the place that we would need to install them in, so that we knew, so they all looked the same and they all had the same plants, and it gave a nice standard look to everything. So again, thank you to Vic for all his help with that, and to Liz Rotfeld for letting us pretty much overtake the whole exterior of the Senior Center that day.
She was thrilled.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, and I hope the seniors are too. It definitely made a huge difference.
The funny thing is, if anyone's going to appreciate that gardening beauty, it would be the senior community
I
because they love to
agree.
garden so much. So
Yeah,
I
we'll
think it
have
was
to get some feedback from them. And I've included a few pictures of the different activities at each of the sites. And in Crawford, I heard from Vic that some plants were divided, some of the hostas and the heuchera, catmint, which you can do very easily with those plants. And they were used to kind of populate a different bed going down the driveway there. And they put in the new spruce, the holiday spruce. And I think was coincided to time nicely with Arbor Day as well. So 2 things accomplished there.
I would add that that's our holiday celebration tree that was kept alive and healthy by all of the mulch that's around the bed, and so now that holiday tree is planted on the grounds.
Oh, wonderful! So where was it before? It was
Right where your photographs have it, in the center of the plaza in front of the community center.
great. Well, it's a lovely tree. I think it looks like it's doing really well too. In Mamaroneck.
Thanks to Vic.
Yeah, thanks again. Thank you, Vic.
multi-use tree. That was our holiday celebration tree that has been alive and flourishing. So carries event to event.
Great. In Mamaroneck, they did more of a cleanup themed effort, and they prepped a site within Columbus Park for pollinator plantings that I believe are happening this month. And they created a sign with repurposed materials and put that up so people know that there will be something coming. And then they did a massive cleanup in and around the river, and there's a picture of kids. They pulled out a huge plastic tarp that was entangled in some of the undergrowth, and
A chair.
wow,
chair.
yeah, again, a ton of stuff was removed that was probably impeding the river, and that can contribute to, can this exacerbate flooding. So that was all good stuff happening there as well. In downtown Portchester, you'll see these pictures. Some mulch was, these beds were prepared. I'm not sure if the plants were installed that day, but they will be coming. And in Rytown Park, just pictures of the mulching effort. And Rybrook, you'll see lots of busy bees there, hard at work, digging holes and installing plants in the front bed and in the planters along the walkway that leads to the main entrance.
See, I thought I was good getting site to site and checking in. Everyone, Steve Otis was everywhere.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Every picture.
He also really like dove straight in, and he was really rolling up his sleeves and helping out.
That man's incredible.
Yep, high energy. So when I was brought on in the early fall of 2020, I think the main goal was to sort of fine-tune the organization of the event planning and increase the reach of these events and promote sort of the intermunicipal nature of them. And I think we started out well with that. The one in November 2020 was literally like a sellout rock concert. It was still the height of the pandemic, and I think people were looking for volunteer activities that were COVID safe and family oriented and looking to do some good, and they also probably had a little bit of cabin fever. So we were the beneficiaries of that, and we literally had scores of people come out for that event. And since then, we've really maintained that momentum, and we've had a great turnout at the ensuing events. And I think we've done a whole lot of good for our shared ecosystem, and we've fostered partnerships with a lot of local area organizations. We have the Lions Clubs involved. The Portchester Key Club had sent dozens of their Portchester High School students to this past November's event. It was like a rock concert. This time, Amanda Barrow over at Portchester worked with Cap Cares, which is, I guess, a foundation that run by the Capitol Theater, and they help promote the event. And we have teamed up with the Rye Conservation Commission, their Sustainability Committee, the Disbro Park Conservancy, Sustainable Westchester, the list goes on. And it really has become a true cross-community effort. And I really hope that continues. I think these events do a lot of good. I think they're very popular. People feel good seeing the results come to life right in front of them. And I think the momentum is there and it can be continued.
At this point, I want to give Melissa just a round of applause for so many reasons. Because yes, over the course of 3 years, or 3 events, almost 2 years, you have revolutionized how we do this. And you have, thank you, set up a framework for future events, which is really important because Melissa, sadly, has a full-time job now.
I do. I started this week.
Congratulations. We hope you'll still be part of the Sustainability
I was going to
Committee.
say, I look forward to being a participant in future events.
Yes, but you've been an
And seeing them
amazing
evolve.
chair, and we have been blessed to have you leading these events. So I
And
just
I've
want to
really
thank
enjoyed
you.
it too, so thank you all. And it was very much a team effort.
It was.
So, thank you.
But once again, I'd like
Thank you.
Your
Thank you,
leadership has been
Melissa.
so
We
appreciated.
really appreciate everything you've done.
I have a few notes on my really great notepad here.
Sustainable.
Very, very sustainable get on notepad. All right, so as far as it goes, I want to thank Vic, I want to thank Matthew, I want to thank Angel, I want to thank all that you did in working with the DPWs to bring the mulch around, bring the plants around, help set up and help break ground at the senior center, lead the activities here, be here at 6 a.m. Your crew was here at 6 a.m. that morning, and it was amazing. And Vic as well. We couldn't do this without you. So thank you to Matthew and to Angel and your entire team. We have an amazing environmental ally at Rybrook now. This new young gentleman, Greg Rivera, is phenomenal. Rivera?
Yes.
Yes, phenomenal. He got so many flowers. He got so many flowers. He went to Long Island and he got truckloads of flowers, so many that he couldn't bring them. We had to get like a truck to bring them. He actually set up, he worked with the local sustainability committees on the village levels and set up a seed swap at the Portchester Library, which was fabulous because there was walking traffic up and down Main Street, Portchester, but also gave us and our good friend and Sylvie Binder the opportunity to work with Debbie and with us to do another learning seminar because we had all that traffic. So we had Lori Fontanison, who everyone knows from Rye Town Park, doing an entire seminar on pollinators, and there had to be about 30 people there listening in. And that was, I think,
That's
really
great.
successful and great. Rye Record covered, but also, Melissa, you did bring out the Westmore. I don't know if you saw they did a photo montage. They did. Yes. The one thing that I thought was really interesting was, I am blanking on her name, I'm sorry, our Rye-Neck,
Christy Young?
Christy Young. I went down and visited the site with her, and she spent time working on a brook that runs through Columbus Park. And this brook is A, overgrown with invasive growth, B, polluted to high hell. I think this could be a very interesting cooperative cross-municipality project to try to get a grant because we are seeing detriment within the town of Mamaroneck. That is beating out, of course, the sound. It's raising the level of that brook, which of course is then causing flooding, more and more flooding.
I think the brook, though, is in the town of Mamaroneck, technically.
Yeah, I think so you know the township better than I do. That's what I'm saying. It could
That's
be.
right. That's right at the line. So the one side of the train, you know, the bridge under off Boston Post Road. The one side of that road is Rye-Neck, and then the other side is. But if we could work with them, I don't.
It's all in
see-
the village of Mamaroneck, for
Correct.
sure.
Correct.
Yeah, it would be great to see
Yeah.
if we could work
Look,
together on a grant.
if we could get a grant and we could have a triple applicant, the town of Rye, town of Mamaroneck, and the village of Mamaroneck, and give us a better chance of getting grant money with
In-
3
In fact,
municipalities.
I had a discussion earlier this month with the representative from Senator Schumer's office on a separate topic, but I had asked him about multiple municipalities joining in on grant applications, and they seemed to think that would be a great idea.
Good,
It would be a
excellent.
really good start to trying something like that. So Lindsay, if I were to reach
Yeah.
out to our grant writer and even Steve as just a local like sponsor of it. Can I copy you? Because you know the
Yeah,
community
sure.
much better than I do.
Sure, and I think the new supervisor there would be, in the town of Mamaroneck, would be very interested in it as well.
Good, because you will be our liaison.
Yes.
Since you're such a
And I
good
also know that Mamaroneck has had a significant amount of flooding design work underway with the Army Corps of Engineers, and it's a public comment, so it's ripe for this kind of work.
That's good.
And
Should we
Christine,
put that on our list for Millennium?
Absolutely. And also a conversation, I think, with village manager for the Village of Mamaroneck, Jerry Barbario. I was in a meeting actually earlier today with Assistant Managers Dan Sarnoff talking about the Hillside Avenue Bridge replacement as well, and which is just upstream from there.
Yeah.
And I believe that stream is in line for expansion with the Army Corps of Engineer project
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So we can coordinate with them.
There's a lot of exciting flood work, mitigation work going on there, and it's, you know, positive. There was such devastation, especially this year.
And this year, unlike other years, there should be a lot of money involved from the infrastructure program.
Yes. Yeah, hopefully we can do it right.
Yeah,
Avengers Assemble. Let's meet up at Millennium.
good.
But once again, thank you, Melissa.
Melissa, thank you again.
So, yes, we are courting a new chair for the cleanups. If anybody's interested, please let us know.
Well, you're broadcasting over, you know, a network viewed by millions,
There you go.
so hopefully somebody will volunteer. We will hopefully find somebody fairly soon. Our next item is public comments on non-agenda, oh, no, we just skipped over that. Gay Pride Month observance. Pam,
Okay.
you're going to take this.
I am very pleased to be working once again in conjunction, Amanda Timchak from Pride and Rye. Debbie has worked her organizational administrative wonders and drawn everyone together again to recreate our Pride commemoration. Of course, we have a week and a half in which to do so. Plenty of time for this crew, right? We're good. It's going to be multi-level of what we're doing. Right now, we are going to look, council members, to do a scale back and simple flag raising here at Crawford Park on June 1st. We're still working on a time. We've reached out to the Blind Brook Pride Club. We'd like to get some students involved. I know that Pride would like to be here as well. We could invite the mayors, we could invite local community members if we want, but just to fly our flag proudly over this park, and then really focus down on June 4th, which is our big Pride event, which is one that will get, of course, the major press push. So it takes a lot of setup, but it's a wonderful day and a wonderful event. So I would formally like to invite everyone to come to both of those, and you'll get more information on both of those shortly. But as far as it goes, on Saturday, June 4th, we're going to do our second flag raising at Wright Town Park. We'll gather at 9:30 in the pavilions. There'll be coffee, there'll be conversation. Amanda and Pride are bringing crafts. So it'll just be a nice way to gather. 10 o'clock, we're going to kick off the ceremony. We are going to invite speakers from, esteemed local representatives to join us from government, from the schools, students, from Pride. We're going to ask for, I'm going to get this word wrong, a religious leader in the community to give us a convocation. We're going to ask for song. So we're working to find someone to sing for us, whether it's the same beautiful voice we had last year or something new. And then it's really exciting. After the flag is raised, we're going to, because it's an important part of any Pride commemoration, we are going to parade very shortly down the boardwalk, where we're going to unveil the mural that the kids in Pride have created this year. And Pride is
Have you
amazing.
seen it yet?
It's only in imagination in the moment.
They don't have much time.
They don't have much time, but they have a lot of kids. They are drawing kids from across New York and Connecticut. So school districts and municipalities far and wide are going to come. We've spread news about it also as well to like the Blindbrook and the Portchester district to see if we can get more involved there. But what's amazing about it is it's going to be dedicated to people who have led in the movement, and it's almost going to be a mural of silhouettes. And so we were talking today about when we do the unveiling, when it's being created, to do social media call-outs on Instagram or whatnot, where we tag the person that they're working on to get additional amplification and hopefully awareness through bigger networks, personal networks, about what these kids are doing and how special it is. So that's where we'll end up. We'll do this small parade down the boardwalk. We'll unveil the mural, and I think it's going to be a really beautiful day, and it's always a joy to do this. So, I thank you, Debbie, for throwing it out into the world once again. And if anybody wants to help, please just do so.
Did we reach out to Rhinebeck yet?
Yes.
Okay, 'cause I know-
Amanda is doing that.
Okay, because I would have no problem reaching out to them and asking for their assistance. It's a great event every year. And I know Amanda had mentioned on Tuesday night that they were working on the mural, and she took a short break to present to the Parks Commission, so they're working very hard.
It's amazing. She told me some of the leaders that it's just going to be wonderful. But she does have connections to Rye High School and to Rhinebeck. And then we'll set our little sustainability interns to like winnow into Rye City.
Yeah. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Can't wait to attend.
It's going to be wonderful. So, and Gary, will you be our master of ceremony?
I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you, sir.
You're
You have to wear a bow tie. If you're going to do the master of ceremonies, you have to wear tux. It's very good.
With a colored pride bow tie, right?
That
I'll
would
get you
be
one.
very.
Don't?
That's, I'm honored to do it.
Thank you. And then just moving forward a little bit in the calendar, I know it's not here, but June is a very important month for equity. June is the month that we also commemorate, of course, Juneteenth, which is the moment in time governmentally that the Black populace was given independence, although they didn't actually achieve independence for years. And it was, it's been a continuing journey, and it's one that we respect. So we are taking June 18th in the morning to do we're going to work in conjunction with the Osborne, and we're going to do yet another cleaning and planting and beautification of the African American cemetery. And we'll be opening that up to volunteers and whatnot right after the Pride ceremony, because we don't want to cross our lasers anywhere. But Vic, once again, is in the midst of things. He's going to be working with the Osborne team. We're going to be trying to beautify the swamp area. So clearing it out, creating hedges up against the trail that goes into the cemetery, working with the cemetery so they stop blowing their leaves into our cemetery, which is a yearly battle. It's a twice yearly battle. So, it's a good amount of work. It's probably one of the best things we do as a town, and I'm glad we've gone there twice this year. And I hope everyone can put on their wellies and bring their rakes and shovels and join us. Debbie, what time did we say we meet? We kept changing it.
We did. I'm thinking it was 10 o'clock in the morning. We're going to meet at 10 in the morning.
I
Is
hope
that-
so.
Is that the African American?
That's at
Yes,
the
at
African American.
meet-
Now, that June 16th is a Thursday.
18th.
18th.
Saturday the 18th.
Oh, the
Juneteenth.
18th. Okay.
And
I didn't put the flyer on this
The day
month
before
because we're
Father's
having
Day.
a meeting June 16th, and I figured we could remind everyone, but I'm happy you're mentioning it.
That's also Rybrook Day, right?
we know that's why we're doing it in the morning specifically, so
Okay.
that it'll be well wrapped and all the leaders can go where they need to go.
Okay. Maybe we could persuade them to come to this cemetery first
I
before.
am going to reach out to my new friend Greg, because I
Great.
think he would be very into it and he might help us.
Which grade?
Rivera at
Oh.
Rybrook.
Okay, good. Excellent. All right.
I do believe Juneteenth is actually the 19th, but the 19th is also Father's Day, and we figured we'd have a harder time getting turnout People might rather barbecue than shovel. But we want, to continue doing something in honor and observance of this.
No, that's good. Excellent. Well done, Pam. And well done, Debbie. And well done,
Thank you.
Vic.
I'm supporting.
We have our next item. We don't have any public comments, correct? I'll ask again. Nothing?
No.
Okay. Our next item, we're in the resolution section, renewing a contract with Millennium Strategies. The heretofore mentioned Millennium Strategies. This is to renew their contract. There's been a slight increase for a monthly retainer of $1,800. I believe it's up from $1,500, and it's split between Rytown Park and the town of Rye, so it's $900 a month. Debbie, why don't you just briefly tell the public what Millennium has done for us in the past?
Well, in the past year alone, Millennium has written over 12 grant applications on behalf of the town and Rytown Park. They have helped secure over $5 million in grant funding. In the most recent contract period from the past year, they helped us secure $4.9 million in grant funding that will underwrite the replacement of the bridge over Otter Creek in Rhinebeck, in the Rhinebeck section.
And they're also working with us, I believe, on some FEMA things.
They are indeed. They've been supporting our FEMA disaster claims, primarily during the pandemic shutdown. They're providing a big support right now in our preparation of applications for the hazard mitigation grants that are due June 1st. And also preparing for the CFA grant. We're planning clean CEC. At the moment, I'm blanking on what CEC means, but it's a clean energy environmental grants
Right.
that they're working on with us.
Yeah.
So it's, I would say, a lot of bang for the buck.
How many, just to ask, how many FEMA claims do we have percolating?
Well,
Because I know we had the
I would-
pandemic and then followed by Ida. We don't have
Isaias
Isaias.
is just wrapping up now, Tropical Storm Isaias. And believe it or not, Superstorm Sandy is just finally moving, the final piece of it. So that's happening as well.
Yeah, with Sandy, the problem is we were told, as you know, there was a 90% match.
Yeah.
And we were told that the state will give us the other 10%. But everything had to be done. Everything had to be filed, all the payments had to be made, and then we could apply through Homeland Security to get the last 10%. Am I correct?
That is correct, but the piece that's finishing up right now is that basic FEMA grant. The final piece of it, which is now called Category Z, you might recognize, which is, at the time, was direct administrative costs, of which we have not quite $100,000 submitted. So that is the last piece. And then there's a little bit outstanding on the base grant amount. Once that process is complete and FEMA has completed its review and closed the file, then we are eligible to apply to DHSES for that final 10%.
So now does FEMA, or does Millennia also cover the reporting obligations that we
They
have?
do not, no.
Okay, so we.
No, the administrative portion of the grant is on us.
Okay.
And that is work that Janai, that's a part of Janai's responsibility.
That doesn't get get enough credit.
Shania does so
Amen.
much.
Well, you know, the grant writing is really important because you don't even realize, you know, between Sandy and SAEs and Ida, you know, there's been damage, especially at Ragtown Park. And, you know, we also have some, don't we have some stuff at Crawford also that was applied for, the trees and things?
I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
For-
For grants, you mean?
For grants, for the, you know, for replacement, you know, trees falling, that kind of thing. Or
Well,
not.
debris removal was, you know, we suffered debris damage in
Right.
several of those storms. And it's a combination of whatever wasn't covered by insurance, by NYMER, which a lot of it has actually been, we are applying to FEMA and working through that process.
So we're trying to get all the money we can get from whatever source.
And Vic, we talked about this when we walked through the park for cleanup. There's a sign down by the wildflower garden. And that, I was like, oh, what is this all for? And it's expiring soon, but that's our grant, correct?
Right at the walkway, right at the 1 mile walkway, big blue sign.
And it states that work is being done.
Is that for the invasive species grant?
Okay, so that's
That
different.
actually
Okay.
has come to a close.
Yes.
So that was 3 years, $100,000, and that grant is now ending.
Can we get more?
As soon as the DEC opens up the grant round, you betcha,
Is
we'll be
that, that's not
applying.
under CFA?
I don't believe so.
Why don't we check? Ask Dave Jenkins.
I
'Cause
certainly will.
maybe it's open.
It hasn't been in the past, but that doesn't mean it isn't now.
Would that
Nothing
be
ventured,
matching
nothing
funds,
gained?
Or is that,
The DEC invasive species grant was a 2/3, 1/3 match. So the government provided 2/3 of the funding, and the match was, our match was 1/3.
like 30,000, about 35?
Correct. And that grant was also allocated actually, between Rye-Town Park and the town of Rye. So it were those funds that were used to eradicate the invasive Phragmites that were choking the pond. Thankfully, that was done very quickly, and all of the rest of the funds have been used to eradicate the invasive vines that were turning Crawford Park into Sleeping Beauty's realm.
So if you look straight out those windows, you'll note a giant clearance in the park where I believe Vic has the aim to plant 10,000 daffodils next year, and that was all invasive area?
We're kind of thinking of that, we have to see what our budget.
Right. Grants. Let's apply for grants. So,
But we
Apply
also
for
have
grants
to
or
meet the
get
matching.
donations.
I'm sorry, what?
Apply for grants or get donations.
wouldn't that be lovely? We could work with the Friends on that, actually. I think that would be a great partnership with the Friends. And dual purpose it, maybe we do daffodils and then sunflowers for the rest of the season, so there's a bright spot of yellow. Yeah.
Just not tulips.
Oh, tulips, deer hate tulips. Things that aren't
I love tulips.
And now everybody does.
So do deer.
Yes, it's like ice cream sundae to do.
I never knew that. Okay,
Well, what's wrong with giving the deers an ice cream sundae every once in a while?
all right. Anyway, we have a contract before us for Millennium. And if we have no further discussion, may I have a motion and a second?
So moved. They do good.
Thank you. Hope, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jaffee?
Yes.
Councilperson Axelrod?
Yes.
Councilperson Nardi?
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson?
Yes.
Supervisor Zuckerman?
Yes. Implementing a new fee-for-service program for electric charging stations at Crawford Park. The resolution is self-explanatory. Just an overview. We put the electric charging stations and basically with grant money, and as a incentive for people to purchase electric vehicles and use the charging stations. No charge was instituted at the time to charge the electric vehicles at Crawford Park. Now, 3 years in, where many people are buying electric vehicles, and it's no longer an oddity to have an electric vehicle, not just Teslas and the old Nissan Leaf, but virtually every company is now going electric. And so this board had a discussion last month wherein we decided to charge an introductory hourly rate of $1.75. The expectation would be that we would realize as much as $11,000 a year, which doesn't sound like much, but it's more than the zero we're getting now. And so that resolution is before the board. Comments?
I am very appreciative of this. So we are doing something great for the community. It's something that's being taken in the best way possible advantage of. But this makes it something that we're doing sustainable for the environment and expanding our sustainability initiatives. It's making it financially sustainable for the township. So I do appreciate Supervisor you be willing to discuss making this move.
I think that one of the advantages of charging is starting to charge is that we will see what the actual demand is in our consideration of whether or not we should add more charging stations, because they're being highly used now when there's no charge. So the question is, once we start charging, are they going to be used? If they're not going to be used, then there won't be a need to put new charging stations. If they continue to be used, then we would consider adding stations, because it would mean A, convenience for the people who use the stations, and B, additional revenue for the town. So it's a win-win.
I would make a request, and considering it's a liability issue, maybe our attorney would back me up on this, but that the charging stations aren't 24/7. We have people who park in the park overnight at the charging stations, and I just feel like that's a safety issue. You may or may not agree with me, so I just wanted to bring that up.
I'm not sure it's an appropriate use of the park overnight. I think that's.
I kind of like the ability to close those gates at a certain time, like they're supposed to close at dark, and they don't, because
Pam-
people's cars are in
Pam,
there.
I don't think it's a safety issue. I don't think it's any more of a safety issue than any other time in the park. I do think it's a violation of the rules. I think we have a sign that says park closes at dusk. So basically, whoever's there at that time are violating the rules of the park, and our caretaker should probably be locking the gates at a certain time so that cars cannot get in from either direction.
Do we have gates on the Lincoln side?
I don't know.
Because there's a driveway to our caretaker's cottage.
No, I know that we have them on the Ridge Street side.
No, we don't have gates at all anymore.
Did
Oh.
we used to?
We did
They
used
got
to.
one time, yeah.
We did used to, and I think the gate was crashed through one more time, and I don't believe we replaced it at that time. George Hugman was alive at that point.
Wow.
And so I think we have a chain that will reach across at Ridge Street now.
Yeah, we can hook up a chain. We have to definitely contact the Grieco police because they like to cut through during the night.
Vic, I'm sorry, would you please go to the microphone? I know.
Hi, Videoconferencing, Director of Grounds Facilities. Yes, we can run a chain across there. We're gonna have to actually put out some barriers and signs, because lots of people turn in, and the chain would be in a good 15 feet from the entrance, so that cars turning in would be able to stop and not run through the chain. We would hook signage up to the chain saying park closed, and other signage saying park closes at dusk. And probably have to put cones across the front. Wintertime though, when you have Rybrook's DPW doing snow, we might have to give them a key or just leave it open on a night that snow is gonna happen so that they don't run through
Right.
it.
I think we're all raising a very good point. Parks should not be used after dark.
I agree.
So the question is, how are we gonna prevent that? And I think number one, you need to speak to the Rybrook Police Department and find out what they would approve, what they would not approve. Secondly, an alternative is to issue tickets to cars parking at the charging stations after that period of time.
We do have marshals, I know, correct? We instituted for the parking at Rytown Park.
Constables.
Constables, excuse me.
Constables.
They will issue tickets. Actually, we put up some no parking signage, and due to a minor technicality that I didn't know about, they were gonna write up some of the cars that park illegally in front of these signs, but they have to be 6 feet high. Ours are only 4.5
The
feet
sign?
high, yes. One of the Rybrook police officers told us this, said, I cannot write them a ticket because your sign is not tall enough.
So we'll
And
make
wow.
it taller,
I
get a
mean,
different
That's what we're
post.
gonna
I
do, yes.
think that would be a viable solution, especially if Rybrook emergency service vehicles use this
Well,
roadway as a.
the
Give them a
biggest
key.
thing is in the past with soccer, people were parking on both sides of the road, and you wouldn't be able to get an emergency vehicle through.
There'd be no means of.
So that's the idea of putting no parking signs.
Yeah, well, I think we can do that.
And then let Rybrook ticket.
Yeah,
Well,
That puts
actually,
them
hold it. Possibly the town of Rye could ticket.
along Ridge Street, if they're parking there or they're
No,
parking on.
Ridge Street we
Well,
can't, but if they're illegally parking in the park, Jeff, could you look into our town code, because we passed the law regarding Rye Town Park, so let's see if it applies to Crawford Park. Rybrook will obviously have to give tickets on Ridge Street or on Lincoln Avenue, but within the park, we may have the authority to do that.
I
In
would
fact,
just,
Rybrook probably has dual authority there too.
well, we certainly have jurisdiction at Crawford Park to issue violations. I would add one caveat, and that is that the community center and the pavilions are often rented at night. So we would want to make sure that whatever law we were passing makes an exception for renters, because we have a lot of evening.
Well, we want to
events.
see what's on the books now. It's, we don't often use that section of our code. So let's just double check to what we have and see if we need to amend it in any way.
And we're talking about this as a deterrent to overnight parking.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not necessarily we're looking to, go after anyone who's renting or,
No, not at all.
No.
this
It's
is more
just-
of a, yeah.
No,
It's an
and you could put
ancillary
it, you
to
could
the
have put like a
purpose.
no parking midnight to 5 a.m. or something like that.
It seems to me that those who are parking overnight are probably living
Walking.
walking distance.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about, what, like a handful of cars?
yeah, just, usually it's just
Do
these
you
cars,
want to
and
try
the
to resolve
electric.
that with a communication to those people, neighbors?
We could do that.
Do
If,
that
if the park staff can take a list of the license plates that are,
Well, I
that
would
are
think-
of constant offenders.
Yeah, I would think once we start charging for the electric stations, we will not see the cars in here.
I
I
think
think
that's
there's also a
probably
way
good.
to charge them for idling that we may want to look into.
According to what you're showing here for your range of fees from 25 stations with a 50-mile radius, between 95 cents and $2.05 per hour, and you're only gonna charge $1.75, I don't think you're gonna have a problem with people getting deterrent from charging, because it's still a very good rate.
Yeah, well, that was the
Yeah.
purpose, is not
Yeah.
to make it the most expensive
So-
or the least expensive.
Yeah, so
Even
I'm-
just cover what we're putting out for the electric.
That's
I think
Yeah.
that's the only thing.
my only concern is with the low fee, do we have, any maintenance on those machines? Are they monthly, are they yearly? Is there anything at all on them?
There absolutely is. We have we have a 5-year contract where we sort of made a single payment. I will be looking into all of the direct and indirect charges associated with the meters over the next short period of time, and we'll make any adjustments necessary to make sure we're covering our
Yeah,
costs.
because we should be at least, covering what it costs us,
We agree.
you know.
All right. I think we need a motion and a second.
Second.
Oh, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jaffee? Aye. Councilperson Axelrod?
Yes.
Councilperson Nardi?
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson? And
Yes.
Supervisor Zuckerman?
Yes. Thank you.
I apologize for being a chaos demon tonight. I will keep adding to conversation.
You're not being a chaos demon. You're just taking over for Lindsay. Lindsay's usually the one.
I am.
It's okay.
I wear that crown with pride.
All right, and now we're up to a discussion of the proposed, it says concession stand, but it's a snack bar. Debbie, are you doing this? The snack bar?
Do you want me to lead the discussion on the snack bar? Sure.
Yeah.
So I know that the council in discussions raised a number of concerns that were addressed in a memo drafted by Camille Miola, who is not able to be here this evening. As part of that memo, the staff suggested or asked the question if a pared-down operating model is something that the council would like to consider.
I would be happy to, actually. I was here on Saturday at the Color Blast event. By the way, that was phenomenal. Like, if you get a chance to go next year, please do. It was a belated Holy celebration. And the pavilion wasn't being used, but the kitchens were there, shuttered. And I just feel like I very much trust in this team. Camille has never done anything that hasn't generated income that she's set forth. Vic is excellent at coming up with ideas that are going to be popular and generate income and be run smoothly. It's kind of amazing. Like, I don't know how you handle it. But this is something that if we handle it correctly, and I do think the pare down where there is no hot food or we're doing it in a different way, I do think it meets a community need, and it's using an area of the park that is not being utilized. It is going to allow us to, I don't think we're going to end up in a hole here. I don't think, Lindsay, I do events for a living. I don't think we're going to end up in a hole here. I think there is money to be made, and I think there's a benefit to the community. I could see us at the very least breaking even or making a moderate profit based on things I've done in the past.
Well, here's a question and just something to take into consideration. We currently have a vending machine. Do we know how often that vending machine is used? Or how frequently or what? I mean, I know we get a percentage of the revenue. I know it's a small percentage, but do we know what the demand is there?
I don't have the data on how often the vending machine is refilled. It's possible that Vic or Candy, are you aware?
I see the guy once every so often.
Yeah, I would say that it's a probably low service. I would also say that the vending machine is only beverages, not ice cream, not snacks of any kind.
Dry goods.
Dry goods. And I don't think vending machines are the trend they were when we were younger. I don't think kids' parents raise them to go and pop in $2 to get chips. Like, it's actually a deterrent as a parent. We say no. And then we whip out a fig bar from our bag.
But
So,
not only that, the stuff in the vending machine and the pay for the vending machine is usually cash. Not that many people carry the kind of cash or the change. I don't carry any change at all. And, you know, I don't think a vending machine is the same thing as having a snack bar there where you see people attending it and then they can get whatever they want, you know, that's being sold.
Well, and I mean, in addition, and one of my biggest concerns is there's no empirical data that we're looking at as far as the demand for this. You know, we're talking anecdotally about people that we've spoken to in conversation. Do we know how often those people intend to use the concession stand? Would they do it on a daily basis? Would they do it on a weekly basis? Are they looking to just buy something every once in a while, maybe every couple of weeks? When you talk about putting staff there at $15 an hour,
Lindsay,
Right.
hold on, before you get on to the next point, as far as that point is concerned, we don't have empirical data because we haven't done it. You get empirical data when you run it for 6 months, you'll have empirical data. People can tell you anything that they want. Yes, I'm gonna use it, no, I'm gonna use it, not gonna use it. You don't know until it's being used. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
There's no way, you can take in any kind of a survey that you want, but the proof will be in the pudding.
exactly, but we don't even have a survey to back ourselves up.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go up, Vic.
If you read the whole document Neil sent to you,
Yes, I
the
read.
idea of the 2 months is also to have the person working the snack bar to do a survey and get information that way on what people would like and what they would want and what they'd like to see in the park. So, you know, there is a dual purpose here besides just the idea of a snack bar.
But that's after following the initial investment that we make into the snack
Yes, it
bar.
is. But then again, like Gary said, we won't know until we do it.
and honestly, I can see the graph. I know you love graphs.
Yeah.
So in my mind, you're starting here, and it's gonna be here, and then all of a sudden, within a month or 2 months or some amount of time, you're gonna plateau out. But it's gonna take the word of mouth, and it's gonna take it being there and them realizing it. But that is a steady point of traffic in the park.
And again, I still, you know, one of the issues I have with this memo is that we're looking about, you know, we're looking at paring down what's being offered. And, you know, the example is we're looking more towards dry goods than prepared food, which is great. But when you talk about a profit margin per beverage or snack, you know, the profit margin on a granola bar you buy for 75 cents and then resell is a lot different than the profit margin you would get on a hot dog, because a hot dog obviously costs more. So if you're talking about 60% of 75 cents, that's a lot different than 60% of a $3 hot dog. I mean, think about it. If you have to cover $15 per hour for staff, that's a lot of individual granola bars.
A hot dog is also advertisement, as is popcorn, because your nose is going to make you realize something's there, and that will actually lead people to water.
Lindsay, you know, this conversation started with Debbie asking the question as to whether or not the board would consider a pared down version, because there was apparently a disagreement that to go into full snack bar mode with hot dogs and things like that. So now you're making the argument, well, if we don't do hot dogs, if we don't do hot food, then you know, you're not gonna have a profit margin. You can't have it both ways.
Well, no, but correct. I don't think that we're looking at it logically. I don't think that if you have hot foods, I think it's an initial investment. You know, you can't say we're gonna take care of every problem by just simply offering dry goods. That doesn't negate the initial investment. I mean, we're being asked, if you look at the figures and the figures that were given the last time it was presented, right, you're looking at an initial $28,000 investment. And I just want to mention, we did not get a revised cost.
Vic, are there already ovens in there? There's already an oven in there, correct?
Yes.
I know they purchased community center, purchased day camp. They are partnered with a local pizza parlor. So they do have the equipment to make grilled cheese, a hamburger, a hot dog. But they are partnered with a local pizza parlor who comes and drops off pizza. And so there is hot food there without them having to roll a hot dog. And there's no reason we couldn't have a similar arrangement.
Well, and I would be very much interested if there was a vendor that wanted to come in, but unfortunately, from what I can gather, no vendors are potentially interested in this. And that's another thing that kind of scares me when you're talking about investing this amount of money. You know, there are a lot of sort of food service, I would say, venues that start with the intent to make money. They believe they're going to be successful, and it's a business in which a lot of people fail, more so than any other business. So again, when you talk about,
If I may, and I apologize for interrupting you. I look at this endeavor, first of all, following the idea of just-in-time inventory, so that the inventory of, all of a sudden I blocked the word, but essentially digestible, right? The things that people eat can be purchased as with a very small investment and then refilled on a weekly or a semi-weekly or even a bi-weekly basis, depending upon what is being purchased. And we will learn from that. It seems to me that the investment is a very small one, and it's important, and that doesn't negate what you're saying, Lindsay, to keep in mind the mission of the project. And the mission is not a high revenue mission. The mission is to serve the park-going public. So don't lose money, but don't necessarily, at this point, we're not proposing that this is a huge money-making operation. I would say that, for example, when we developed the operating model for Crawford Mansion Community Center 3 years ago, and you were very much involved in that process, we put together a pro forma, our best guess of what that operating model would look like. Interestingly enough, we took a look at it at the last budget workshop, if you recall. We were pretty close, not exact, but pretty close. So this is really a teeny tiny piece of that initiative.
Okay.
and
Jill?
Oh, thank you. I just like to inject a slightly different concern, because we could talk about financials and, look at the numbers. I think my concern is everybody keeps talking about it'll be small. And I think that's sort of like home construction, or, we'll just do the steps. Well, now the shutters look bad. You're talking, we have the ovens, now we can do hot dogs. I just have very deep-seated concerns that what is a nice idea is going to take on a lot of, it just can very easily become bigger. And then trying to undo something, it's like getting the horse back into the barn. I just don't see it. There is no template for this. It's not as if there's other parks anywhere in Westchester that I've encountered where you would expect there to be any type of food service, whether it was a snack bar, a concession stand, or a restaurant. You go, some of them don't even have restrooms. I had young children, I would take them to Bush's. It would have been lovely if they had those amenities. They did not. I had been to places, if it was incumbent on me as the caretaker to have food. Certainly, if people use this park, I would assume they come here repeatedly. The first few times you forget food or drink for yourself or the child you're looking after, you learn that you better bring it next time. There cannot realistically be an expectation that food is going to be provided from a granola bar to hot dogs. And if there is a vending machine, it's that much better. No one is using it to buy water when they're playing soccer or whatever. How come? There can't be such a demand. My girls played soccer here for years. I never once had them come home and say, I only wish someone was there so I could have gotten, it just never played out. Is that what happens to him? He says, I wish that it was there. And even if he does wish that, my girls wish for a lot of things, as do I, that just cannot be fulfilled. I mean, the public may want we've talked about this, certain types of amenities, and we have to make that decision, nice to have versus should have. We've done an amazing job, and I have nothing but compliments for everyone who's been involved with, the work on the mansion. But we see, you start a project, it's brand new. It needs some repair. We need to upgrade this in a very short amount of time. Oh, the hot dog maker isn't working, we need to get a new one. I mean, we are just opening the door to a ton of costs, a ton of responsibilities.
Liability.
And if I said this part can't really look, the path you talk about, or, things, okay, people want it to be safe. They really are clamoring, they want to walk around the path. Okay, I fully understand that we have to spend money to keep up the park. And while I so appreciate all the hard work that went into, presenting this to us, preparing the numbers, I do appreciate that. I'm not minimizing it at all. I am just saying I do not see a path for me to vote for this, because we are just inviting spending more and more money for we're creating a need and then we're going to fill a need. And even if you believe the need exists on some level, I still don't think it's our responsibility to fill it. Not the least of which is we are in the vicinity of a shopping center with 4 different food establishments. If someone is here and they're starving, go take a ride to D'Agostino's or Fortina or Chopped or Dig In or Carvel. I mean, we're not in a food desert here where if you couldn't get something to eat, you're really
They're
up
not
a
going
creek.
to. That's the thing. If you're sitting here and your kid's running track, you're not going to leave for 15 minutes in the middle of a track meet.
But no kid, my daughter also ran track.
Yes, we did.
She
We did
never,
last year at least.
but if they have an issue, we have vending machines here which are already underused. So now we're gonna start paying people and startup costs just to see. If you think that we vote this, and I may be outnumbered here, I fully understand that. God is my witness, we are gonna sit here in 6 months and say, it's doing beautifully. Now we're gonna double the number, now we're gonna do this. Oh, now something broke. I just see it happening, and I'm not taking that out of thin air. We can all see that has happened.
Jill, excuse me. Jill, I think you're projecting. We don't know what's going to happen. That's the only thing that I
Okay, then
will
what does the
agree.
best case scenario look like? Success, correct? The best case scenario is we're doing well, and we want to expand on that.
I don't know the answer to that. That's a decision that would be made in the future. My view is
So
that.
how will we undo it? Now we'll tell these people that are getting paid for extra hours, sorry, we've got to cut your
Yeah.
time because, that stipend we gave you to run this up, we're taking
Well,
that away.
first of
We
all,
haven't
I don't
done-
foresee that we're going to be operating this snack bar in January.
But we're
Okay,
still
we're gonna-
investing
we're
for
gonna-
a 3-month project then? We're investing so that we can have this for the few months of the
I
year.
think
that
it
it's
will
ready.
be monetized. If we don't use the equipment, it could be resold. And frankly, I have confidence in Vic and Camille and the park staff to make it work, because they've made everything work. They've made stuff work that I would not believe would work.
But
And
it's
I have,
because of that I say, look, when we started events here, we hoped. Camille has done an amazing job. People are clamoring, and we have to figure out, how to make it all work. So I have every confidence that we would meet with the same level of success here. So then, do you see my
but
point?
why,
That now
yeah,
it's-
but why are you
Right.
projecting failure?
Because you just told me that the people in charge have had nothing but outstanding success. So now I expect the people in charge to continue to have the outstanding
Good.
success they have in the past, which requires us to then have maintenance. And you have people that are getting paid
There's
for
not
certain
a,
things.
Jill, there's
And-
not a
and
lot of
to that
maintenance, excuse
point-
me, there's not a lot of maintenance involved here. Okay, we have a couple of people that are gonna be working on it. There's not a lot of equipment that's being purchased. And
Another concern I have as well is the trash issue. If you think people are gonna get food and all just politely put it into, we clean up the park, now you've got little kids who are running around playing soccer. If their granola wrapper is on the floor, then who's cleaning up all the extra trash?
Vic?
Can I answer that?
What
Yes,
kind of-
please.
We have it all summer long with the camps.
And who handles the additional trash?
I think that, I think they have,
The attendance?
I think they have basically figured it out. I understand that there is some concern, And I'm not saying that the concern is not a proper concern, but I'm confident that it can work. The only one we haven't heard from is Tommy.
Because both sides aren't gonna like what I have to say. One, yeah, I think it's a good idea to a certain point. Number one, the kitchen was not designed for what you want to do it for. That's number one. Number two, what's the health department gonna require? Has the health department been there and seen the kitchen and tell you what you need to do, what you want to do?
Yes,
They've been there. They
Yes.
gave you a list of what they want.
yes.
Okay.
And where's that list in the expenses?
It's the $500 permit.
And there's no other modifications
So,
needed for the
but
kitchen?
just to make sure that that was audible, it was the $500 permit,
And there's no other modifications necessary?
correct?
What's the Village of Rybrook? What do they want?
It's our jurisdiction.
It's our jurisdiction. Okay. All right, now,
Low risk.
You gotta come up.
According to the inspector from the county, we are considered a low risk, which means we don't have to, pretty much, just as long as we're not cooking on a grill and stuff like that, where grease could splatter and things like that, they consider us low risk.
well, that's another thing. We don't have a grease trap in there.
No, we're not gonna do
So
hamburgers.
you're not
We're
gonna be
gonna
doing
do-
hamburgers
no.
or hot dogs or anything like that. You do no
Well,
cooking.
hot dogs can be done
They can
according
be
to.
done electrically
Yes.
on the the rollers.
But
Okay.
what happens
now-
if people start wanting hamburgers? And a
Wait,
lot
wait.
of people say they really want that from the park.
Well, they won't have it unless we make another decision.
Okay,
They
so
won't
there's
have
gonna
it.
be times that people are
Say
gonna want
no.
things and we're gonna have to say no.
As a member.
And how are we're not gonna do that now, but we are gonna do that later, right?
And also, we have to
I-
understand to a certain extent that what the park is primarily used for, and we learned this through the capstone last week or the other week, is that people predominantly use it to walk the path. If you look at the cost to refinish the path is $75,000, okay? Put that in context, we're talking about, investing $8,000 into this snack bar. That money can be more properly used by investing it into the path and the Red Rock Garden, which these are safety issues. These are have-to-haves. And now, in addition to that, we're now looking at something that a lot of people don't want.
Who doesn't want it?
People who want the park to remain an open space, a green space, a snack bar, just does not fit in with that, with open fields and beautiful native plants. And, oh, by the way, would you like a Quaker
Haagen-Dazs?
Oats granola bar?
Yeah.
This park brought to you by, I don't know, it doesn't keep in line with the whole intent of what the park is supposed to be.
Debbie, oh, I'm sorry.
And now we're looking at charging our taxpayers a significant amount. You look at it, a Belvita bar, a package of Belvita. I have it every morning, that's $2. That's, something you can get at Costco in bulk for
Excuse
a
me,
lot less.
now we are analyzing the charges that we have, piece by piece,
Well-
looking to see what we're gonna charge people. If they don't like it, they don't have to buy it. And, this is just getting into the weeds. We have a concept before us, and the concept is to have a snack bar. Jill, I understand your concerns about open space. We have lots of parks in the county. In fact, the guy who used to rent the Barley Beach House, Al Cuccinelli, was that his name?
Chickatelli, I think.
Chickatelli. Whatever. His business is running
Civitelli.
concession stands in parks, especially golf. He has a whole business like that. We're not proposing
In a
that.
small community park like this?
Have
No.
we, have we
Amusement
approached
park
him
or-
I
about
don't use it, yeah,
this?
what?
Have we approached him about the?
No, no.
Crawford?
No, and I don't even know that we should, again, my feeling of what Crawford Park is, we're not talking about playland, we're not even talking about Ride Town Park, there are many, many communities. I raised young children, I was fortunate enough to be a stay-at-home mom, I went to so many different parks in Scarsdale, in White Plains, I never was there food readily accessible.
But I
to
think
me.
what I'm.
Nor did I have an expectation that there would be.
High School. and I'm watching a soccer game, they've got a concession stand right there. I can go and get a hot dog.
They spend the
That's run
entire
by the
weekend
Booster
having
Club.
game after game. They do it to raise money for the school. You cannot compare coming to Crawford Park to going to your kid's soccer game.
It's done by
My girls
volunteer
just
parents.
Hold it, come on, one at a
Like,
time,
the people are here for games.
one at
They're
a time.
All right, I got a
I
quick
say, I know,
question.
to me,
Debbie,
it's not-
where you're at, can you see on Facebook, or do you have it on your
No,
tablet?
I left Facebook on the desk.
I'd like to know how many people are on Facebook, and if anybody's commenting on this, because this is one thing they should be commenting on.
Actually, I would invite people to come.
tell you that there are now 9 people watching on Facebook,
Well, we got 9 people watching.
which is the high for the evening. And there isn't a single comment.
I hate to say this, but I remember before the days of all this lovely technology, we had standing room only at a town meeting. And since we've gone with all this technology, we get nobody. Now we got 9 people on Facebook. And we have a very, a pretty serious thing that we're discussing, and we're getting no responses. And this is their tax money that's gonna be used.
Well, and beyond that, the park that they use frequently is
Yeah.
going to have a slightly different characteristic to it, like. the
And I like
ice
stirring the pot, I'm sorry.
And again, at what point, to Jill's point, where do we stop? We have a successful concession stand, why not open a restaurant?
But we're not going to. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna keep bringing it up. I know I'm a broken record, but for years, because my kids were little and I'm not rolling in it, like, we were purchase pool members. And for years, I put down $60 a season at their window. And for years, I never spent the $60. I always had a little carryover, but the menu never changed. Year after year, it was the same thing. So they hit their stride and you're like, this is what works for us. This is where we are.
But every town or
We
public pool
have-
has a concession stand.
We
That's
have
an
a
expectation when you go.
restaurant. We finally have a successful restaurant that hasn't shuttered and died on us. Like, it's thriving at Brightown Park.
I
And that's
have-
a great place for it.
I have another technical question. Now you're gonna have the hot dog roller. Now, it's heated, no, well, my question is there an age limit for somebody to be able to handle that?
Well, I would say that the pared-down model does not have hot dogs on it. That
Okay.
was, so I'm not clear on if you're asking about the original model?
Yeah, the
or-
original. On the original, because I'm just curious, because if this does, like Jill, Lindsay had said, things get better and you're gonna wanna expand, and you wanna expand, I wanna have a hot dog, I wanna have a lunch. Now you're getting into, you're gonna have something that's heated, you're gonna have food that you have to store, which we have no provisions for, which I know we'd have to buy. But how much bulk are we gonna get, and where's everything gonna be stored?
So I just want to restate your question so I understand it clearly. If the council goes with the original proposal, what is the age requirement of the park attendant who is working at the counter? Is that the
Yes,
question?
Exactly.
Candy, do you know the answer to that?
Actually, if you base it on Burger King and McDonald's, 16.
Okay, but Burger King, McDonald's, are they allowed to work in the kitchen part, or are they just getting the prepared food and bringing it in?
You're allowed to handle it.
They're allowed to, well, because those places are usually using convection ovens, more so than I stand corrected, because I know the one I know the McDonald's in Riverside has a griddle, but I have one and I'm there every day, and I have yet to see a young person working that griddle.
Okay, but we need to look to multinational corporations for the standards that we have to follow.
This
I'm
is,
sorry.
guys, this is getting,
not
hold it,
necessarily-
Lindsay, excuse me, this is getting out of hand. We're having a discussion, we're not talking over each other,
Yep.
okay? Tommy had the floor.
So I'm just worried about 16-year-olds using a hot device, and if they're allowed by law to do that. That's what I'm worried
Can I
about.
say one more thing?
Yeah, you can.
All right? Let's get there, okay?
Okay, yeah, I mean, listen.
We're not there, let's see if the snack bar even works.
That's just it. Okay, so you're gonna go to the snack bar, and you're gonna have to buy a freezer. I'll talk to you about it. You're gonna have to buy a freezer. Where are you gonna put the freezer? Where's that gonna go?
There's room in the kitchen.
Do we have room in the kitchen
there
for
is
it? Are
room
we
in the
gonna take a
kitchen.
table out?
Yes, we're gonna use the table as a counter.
So you're gonna put the table for when you have the roll top door, put it for the counter there.
Exactly.
Thing. All right. Because that's what they do at some of the parties, they put the table there. Okay, so then you're gonna put the freezer back there. We got the convection oven there, which I don't know if anybody's ever used it.
We know it works.
Excuse me?
We know it works.
Yes. The drinks, you're not gonna have a soda machine, so you'd have bottles and cans. And we have the ice machine in the back.
Right.
The Board of Health does not have a problem with the ice machine being in the back like that.
It looks like we have something on the chat up there.
It's me,
Oh,
saying, please, we'd like your comments.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, I just, you got people, you know, even though it's only a few people, we really need your output on what's, you know, how they feel.
yeah, well, that's the idea of a 2-month test, is to do the survey as we're doing it and find out what they.
Well,
Tommy?
I'm gonna tell you right now, 2 months is not enough.
Camille.
And you do something like this, you gotta give it a minimum of a year to work. Word has to get out.
Tommy, it's not gonna be a year because it's gonna close in
Oh, no,
November.
well, I understand that.
Okay.
You're gonna have
So
something that's
we-
gonna be from spring to fall at
That's,
best.
that's right. What I would suggest, what I would like to do is run a test, let them run the experiment, we'll see how it goes between now and the end of October, Halloween, and then we'll make a new decision.
I have one more logistical question. Where's the food gonna be stored? And are we gonna be using the fridge and the freezer that are in the pavilion? Because that's gonna take away from the people who are renting it.
No,
There are storage cages, there's an attached room that's behind with a lot of storage.
we don't have, in the kitchen, there's only a refrigerator.
Yes.
And,
One refrigerator.
one refrigerator, because the reason why when we originally did it, it was done so people wouldn't store stuff there. It was for people having their events, they had some place to keep refrigerated items. Anything frozen was gonna be eaten that day. So that's the reason why there was no freezer in there.
So we're not gonna have any refrigerated items.
We intend to buy weekly to start, just so we have an idea of what we need each week, so that there's not gonna be a large amount of stuff kept.
Yeah, but if we do have refrigerated items, they would go in the refrigerator for when people are renting.
They'd have to buy a separate refrigerator.
We have 4 large coolers in the basement, plus we have the kitchen here, and we have a refrigerator in the basement here.
I'd like to report in, we do have some commentary from team members,
But not the public.
but not the public yet. Camille is saying, of course, we will not endanger our staff, and I will remind everyone that Camille said they had to go through about 18 hours of safety training to work here. And Matt, who I'm sure this probably would fall under his purview, is saying it is definitely worth the shot. So, I mean, there is buy-in from the people who work here, who are very successful at running.
Yeah, I don't
Parts
think
of the business
anybody's-
they own.
You know what, and you're getting,
Extra hours.
and you're getting responsive from people that put a lot of hours into this park.
Yes,
Because
I
Mark
am.
and Camille put, Matt,
They love this park.
they do.
This park
And
is
they
their
work
home
very
and their
hard here.
business.
Of course, and I
You know.
certainly would never invite.
Guys, I would like to give this a shot. You're dealing in a period from June, July, August, September, October, 5 months.
I think one thing you should contemplate is how do you define success?
Breaking even.
Breaking even this year.
Breaking even.
That
This
has
year
to
it's
be-
breaking
that-
even.
there has to be consensus on that,
Yeah,
so that there's no.
To me, the way I always feel, the park is for the people. You break even at best. Parks are not to be money-making machines. That's the way I feel about it. That's the way I was taught.
and that's why we're not gonna make this a restaurant, as Lindsay, I think, suggested, only tongue-in-cheek.
And then just to
But
roll
if
back,
they have to do 18 hours of training, are they getting paid $15 an hour for this training?
we discussed this last meeting, yes.
So that's a lot more. How many people are we gonna train?
700?
4, so you're gonna do, okay, let me just do the math, sorry.
Now, these guys, they get a certificate, so they have for the training.
Yes.
Okay. And it-
Actually, and I'm not totally sure, but I will check. Being we're low risk, they're not handling food, so they don't have to do the training.
Let's
wait.
double check that, but I would
for
recommend
people
some form
at
of
18
training
hours,
for people who are
At-
working in there. I
it's
would put my foot
72
down.
hours at $15 an hour. I mean, that's $1,000. That comes out to a significant expense before you even hit the ground running.
Lindsay, I just spent that on mulch.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying that's, again, that's an expense that once again is not calculated into this.
No, I think Vic just said that they don't need that training because it's low risk. Is that
It is.
correct? Is that what you said,
Are we
Vic?
not buying paper goods?
You know,
It looks to me from this list, everything comes self-contained.
Could I just add one more?
last word.
Okay, I appreciate that. You know, Pam, I think just made a great point that she's willing to spend $1,000 on mulch, and maybe someone else is willing to spend $1,000 on a pocketbook. And again, I just want to reiterate, excuse me, for the record, how impressed I am with every person who loves this park, volunteers at this park, works for the park. However, in terms of prioritizing spending money, which I believe to be my duty as an elected official in this town, I don't see this as a wise course of action. We could be here another 7 hours and I would hear everyone's points. The underlying issue to me remains that I don't see it as a good use of resources. So I would just appreciate not having my words mischaracterized as demonizing staff or saying that staff would make other staff members unsafe or that this is not going to be a success. In fact, I've said, and I again want it on the record, that I have every confidence in all the people involved that it will be successful. I do not believe this is the proper course for us to take. And I just want to be very clear about that. Thank you.
It might be that I have younger kids, but I know, I tend to be the spokes council person for the park because I'm always here. Like, I'm always here because I have kids, and I'm talking to other moms, and I'm talking to parents, and I'm pulling weeds with the people here. And I do think this is a service, and this is something that friends of mine have said, oh, damn it, I have to go and get my kid a Gatorade, and oh, we have campers who came without lunch, and can we somehow provide a service to them so they don't go hungry at lunch? And I think there is a community payback and a community service here because it's an active place. An active place, you burn calories. I almost fainted last week. I had a COVID shot and then I came to the Holy Celebration. And I don't drink out of plastic bottles because I'm a strange person. So I didn't have my water bottle. I'm like, if I had been here and there had been a concession stand where I could pick up my, cardboard, if I had had my key, I would have gone into the building, but no one else other than us could do that.
And you wouldn't use the vending machine.
I would never use a vending machine. I don't like whipping out my wallet for anything, and I don't think kids carry cash that way. My son carries his ATM card and is very happy to go up and get something from a human.
I mean, again, I don't want to get into the weeds, as it were. I just, I stated my piece, and I respect everyone else's opinions, but
Jill,
if anyone
just
else
one thing on your,
has-
excuse me.
Ask her what?
The difference between kids buying snacks at the snack window as opposed to their vending machines? I could see if she's
I just
able
think
to give
this
us
is a very unique space. We are not a camp, although we host a camp. We are not a field, a high school field, although we host games. So it's very difficult to try to compare. And again, I'm not negating your point, but if anyone is willing to be realistic and look at the only evidence we have, which is the unparalleled success of the people who are planning this endeavor, this is going to be an expense and something that's complicated and something that we probably are best leaving be. You don't want to.
Let me comment on what you, hold on, excuse me, Pam. Let me just comment.
Okay.
You mentioned that you think it will be successful.
Yes.
But if we define success as not losing money, one of your big objections is it's going to cost us money, but it's not going to cost us money.
It is, again, down the road, and I know you're saying I'm projecting, but I'm projecting
We're
based on past
talking-
experience.
we're
It's gonna cost us
talking-
money for staff, certainly, that you can't deny.
Not every snack bar makes a profit or breaks even every year. It changes from year to year. You have a
We
rainy
want to
season.
give it a shot. I think that it was not going to lose money, that it might become a small profit center, and I'd like to give the staff a shot at making this work. Tommy, I think you're gonna be the deciding vote here, so.
Sorry.
I know I'm gonna be the deciding vote. And I know people are gonna be upset with me, either side.
Well, that comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory, and like I said, I hate to, you know, I hate to say it, you guys are gonna be upset, a couple of people are gonna be upset, but I'm for it, I'm sorry. I don't have a problem, I feel if it's at the minimum, what you're showing here, I think it would be a good thing. The only problem I have that I'm not happy about is that we don't have weekends. And-
Put on there, rolling out the, let me get up again.
Could we put the cart in that little brick? Well, no, we can't.
No.
'cause we have
We
things.
talked about rolling out our bar cart
Okay.
out to the opening, the old back door, the back door with the coolers on the weekends for the people in the playground.
And if the pavilion isn't rented, then you can have it right
And
from
we
there.
can do it there,
So it's gonna determine whether the pavilion's rented or not.
right.
If as long as it's staying like this, I don't have a problem with this, and I know I'm upset, you know, but that's the way I feel, because I feel it might be a good thing, and I feel it takes a full year for a business, and I know we only have until the fall, and to me, I don't really feel that's enough time. It really should be, the way I feel, I would actually feel better if it started next season. You did it in the beginning of the spring, and then went all the way, you went, because you can start earlier, because as soon as you open up the bathrooms is when you can start. And then when you close the bathrooms, that's when you end. And you have that much more time.
And I
That's,
think-
Could we have very bare bones operation, water and some snacks for Memorial Day weekend?
Possibly.
So we're starting early.
Well, you-
Pam,
In a plastic bottle.
You know
No.
what, let's not get into details. Vic knows what he needs to do. Tommy, your idea is good, but we're only in June, so we have all summer here
Yep.
to see what happens. So, let me just make a comment for the record. I'm not gonna force anybody to take a vote. Hope, let the record show that after substantial discussion, the board agreed by a 3-2 vote to operate a snack bar for the 2022 park season. Okay, is that fair?
Please mark me as dissenting.
Yeah, me as well,
Well, that's why I said by 3-2.
3-2.
because you're gonna, but we're not individually, we're not.
I didn't want to put it, I mean,
Oh,
we
I have
could.
no,
I have no
no
problem saying I dissent.
All right, okay, then let's cast that in the form of a motion. A motion and a second to operate a snack bar for the 2022 park season. Pam?
Aye.
Motion,
I so move.
Now second.
call the roll, please.
Councilperson Jaffee,
Aye.
Councilperson Axelrod,
No.
Councilperson Nordic.
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson,
Absolutely not.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes.
The initial expenditure also was going to require a vote, in my opinion.
Do we even have a solid number on the initial expenditure?
She's gonna be over $5,000.
Well, it doesn't include the hours for training staff.
Well, we
Well,
never,
they don't need, being that there's no no raw food being handled, they don't have to technically take the course. That course is only for handling raw food, which hot dogs would be considered raw food, which they're not doing.
And again, we don't have, we're not gonna give out napkins,
They're on there.
spoons.
listen, okay, the motion was made, seconded, and voted on. We're moving on to the next item.
For the
the,
record, the napkins aren't, I don't see them. Unless I'm mistaken.
The policy regarding, let me just say this before we go on. Thank you for a spirited discussion. I think there was a minimal of animosity tonight, and I'm glad that everybody's viewpoint was expressed and heard, considered, and now we're gonna move The discussion regarding open meetings, we already had in conjunction with the local law. Denise, you've been waiting patiently.
That is the message that we received in the chat. She had to get off.
Okay,
I think she did leave a message. Hold on, let me read it.
Do we now have to authorize the final amount?
Denise writes, I am really sorry, but I'm gonna have to sign off. Report from the assessor is that change of assessment notices will go out on June 1st, 2022, so watch your mail. Reminder that grievance day is Tuesday, June 21st, 2022.
okay.
All right, Supervisor, is that going to make a suggestion that we have, once again, a short special meeting via Zoom, follow up with this, where they can present a financial plan, since it's above
If we need-
$5,000?
If we need a meeting, we can call a special meeting.
But we don't have to vote on final amount.
Yeah, when we have to authorize.
We're
it
not-
on the-
I don't have a motion to, you want to vote on an amount up to $28,000?
28,000, it says 8,000 here.
Well, the point is,
So we just approved something having no idea what
we,
the cost actually.
no. We approved going forward, but if we have an expenditure, we have to have a vote on the expenditure.
So
Right,
let's
so
get a
if we don't
hard
have-
expenditure list and vote on it. And
What is the hard expenditure? 8,151?
That's for 2 months, because we're looking at a 2-month trial.
Right, so at the end
So
of the
the
trial,
second
like
we
if
visit
it's
Okay.
this in 2 months.
May I have a motion and a second to approve an expenditure up to $8,500? Give
I-
us some
I so move.
cushion.
Second.
Hope, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jaffee,
Aye.
Councilperson Axelrod,
no.
Councilperson Nardi,
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson,
No.
Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. Debbie, let me ask you a question about the assessor. I understand that they're doing the iCompass test fairly soon?
Yes, we've been, the assessment department has been working with iCompass steadily for the last several months, I would say. We have a next training with iCompass tomorrow, as a matter of fact. The experiments so far have been going very well, and there's a training with the Board of Assessment Review, I believe, on the 24th.
Okay, great.
And I just want to say that our assessor has had a surgery and she's recovering, and that is why she couldn't be here in person and was not able to remain here in the meeting.
Right, thank you.
Sorry to
I
hear
was
that.
aware of that. I don't know if anybody else
We
was.
wish her the best.
Speedy health.
We have a revised annual community conversation flyer for I-Town Park. The community conversation is this Saturday, May 21st, 10 a.m. to noon. It is now at the Barley Beach House patio as opposed to being under the pavilions. I hope that at least some of you can attend. Should be interesting. Camille has submitted her activity report. I don't think we need to call upon her at this point to elaborate, especially since she's not here. Vic, do you have anything else to add as Director of Parks and Facilities?
Just that we're embarking on a culinary teaching course with Fiddlehead's Culinary Kitchen. They're looking to do, starting in September, Mondays and Tuesdays, 2 classes each. And they're willing to take on a 20% charge on what they charge their students as rent.
So this is by way of, first of all, the whole intention of Fiddlehead is to teach healthy cooking and healthy eating, which supports part of the mission. And also the 20% of gross receipts essentially is a pilot for what a sliding scale might look like for us. So we're going to look at how that works.
Are they independently insured?
Yes.
Have we received their certificate of insurance
Well,
yet?
we certainly will.
Okay.
Starts in September, right?
Correct.
So we have a small amount of
So
time.
If you wanna look it up under Fiddleheads.
And they have their certificate there?
No, but if you want to
No,
look
we'll-
up their background and everything,
We'll receive a certificate of insurance with the town of Rye named as an additional insured, which is our policy for all outside vendors.
Okay. Next, we have our financial report. Dave is on vacation, so you can see the report. Our in-rem receivables are down to only 4 parcels. Those are the parcels for which petitions have been filed in in-rem foreclosure. As you may remember, that list used to be much longer, and 2 of those 4 we are expecting to pay possibly by the end of the month, because they've made inquiry and gotten payoff letters. The interesting one, as Lindsay mentioned, I think before the meeting, is the cell tower at the Housing Authority, and they filed an answer. This should be an interesting legal case. Any questions about the report? If not, we have a Memorial Day observance, Monday, May 30th, and the schedule is there. The parade down Westchester Avenue will commence I say at 11 o'clock, but I think that's usually optimistic, Hope?
The ceremonies start at 11 and then.
Right. And that's usually optimistic also.
There's also a memorial ceremony at the African American Cemetery that is being organized by the Friends of the African American Cemetery on the Saturday Memorial Day weekend at 10 a.m.
I think do we have calendar entries about that?
I'm pretty sure you do.
Okay. The receiver, is Nick on or not on?
No, he's not
Nope.
on.
Okay, his report is submitted.
The only thing I'd like to say on his behalf, that the Village of Rybrook and the Village of Portchester bills will be going out the first week of June, and everyone has until June 30th to pay them. So
Okay.
look for your bill. If you do not get your bill, and if you do not have an escrow account, please call the office.
Thank you, Hope.
You're
Carrie?
Acting receiver,
right.
former receiver, acting tonight receiver.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you have?
Yes, I did. Sorry,
What?
it's
Go.
just the liberal in your midst again. In consideration of what just happened in Buffalo and has been happening frequently across the United States, I'm very uncomfortable with the observances, including firing teams. I wish there were another way that we could look at the agenda for Memorial Day. Firing team at American Legion Post, Color Guard and firing team, and then TAPS at Civil War Memorial. Color Guard and firing team at Portchester Fire Department. Color Guard and firing team at Crawford Park. At the very least, I don't want a firing team here. If that's possible, if we could do something different. I feel really strongly about that.
They shoot blanks.
I don't care.
It's,
I mean,
That's
as
that
someone
won't happen.
who's shot shotguns plenty of times, I never pointed it at a living thing. Never. I believe it's a form of respect.
it's form of respect, and that'll never happen. You'll never see that.
Not for Memorial Day. It's,
I know. And I'm just very sensitive to, as someone whose grandfather was lost to a Nazi sniper, I'm very sensitive to it.
oh, of
So-
course. No,
Yes.
I'm not trying to minimize your concerns. I hear you. I just think considering in the context of Memorial Day. You know, if it were for anything else, for the 4th of July or something, I might say, you know, but I think,
I completely understand your point of view, but I think at this date to talk to them would be premature, and I think that there will be a lot of pushback that's unnecessary. This has been a practice for don't forget, these are all veterans, and I think it would be a slap at them to not permit them to make their salute. It is a salute to the fallen, so that's the purpose of it. But I completely understand what you're saying. In this climate that we have, especially with so much mayhem over the last, last couple of years, especially with murders with weapons of war, it's your feelings are completely understandable.
people with
and I
no
want to
souls.
acknowledge them.
No, but this is not a controlled, national space, I guess. But Hope, is this something that we can just put that I have concerns in the minutes and I would like to talk to them next year?
Sure.
Well done. All right, town clerk's report submitted, unless you have something else to say, Hope.
No,
Putting on your clerk's hat now?
right.
Okay,
My report is submitted. That's it for tonight.
okay. May I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss, it is now only one personnel matter?
so moved.
Second.
Yes, Vic?
All in favor?
Are you gonna do a Crawford report?
Yes, I would like to hear a Crawford report.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Candy. Camille, I didn't know that.
Put together a
Oh, let's move back, of course. I'm sorry, I apologize.
And an attorney report, do we have?
Andy, come on up.
Nothing to report.
I actually would like you to make a report about our sustainability. Not intern anymore, but we're very proud of her, just so you know.
I'm sorry, Candy, I said back a few minutes ago, Crawford report, and Camille's not here, so we'll move on. I didn't realize you were here to give the report.
That's okay.
So I
not a problem.
apologize.
For Crawford, I'm Candida Mejia, and I will be giving our booking report. For the inquiries that we've received for this year, it's from January to April is 202, which is an average of 45 events within each month. For next year, we have 16 inquiries. Events that we are unable to accommodate have been 25. Bookings for year to date is 116. Events executed was 43 with an average of 10 events a month. Proposals that are waiting are 6. For the mansion, we have a 45% booking. And for the pavilion and sports fields, it's 36. The usage for bookings for residents is 38%. Non-residents is 14%. Nonprofit is 15%. And municipality events is 37%.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Do we have a gross number on the budget as to what the income was?
No, not here today.
I would like to see sometime in the near future a net revenue, how much we're making over time. That I'd be interested to see. And also possibly, if we can get it for next month, a breakdown of what rooms in the mansion have been rented. Upstairs, downstairs, activity room, art room, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's definitely doable.
Doable, and I feel like we've seen something, so it should be easy to regurgitate and update.
Hope, since my memory is short, did we have a motion and a second to go into executive session?
Yes.
I don't, did we have a,
We didn't
did
vote.
we have a vote? I don't think we had a
No, we
vote.
didn't have a vote.
Because
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We're now in executive session. Are we going to be taking a vote on anything?
It's possible.
All right.
I think that the purpose of this is for me to.
Vic, Candy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Vic and Candy, before you leave, I did not have the opportunity during the discussion to thank you both for the effort and all of the research that you have been investing in the Crawford projects. And I know that you've got the best interests of the park at heart, and I want to acknowledge and see you for that effort, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Candy.
Want these closed?
I
Do
think,
you want to
yes.
think
switch to the
yes.
boardroom or stay where you are?
As long as we're not streaming.
What? Yeah, give me one too.
Would anybody like a fruit roll-up or a fig bar?
Fig
Because-
bar.
No, thank you.
Fig bar.
We have apricot and raspberry.
What's the snacks all about?
In honor of the snack bar, she wanted to see what it would be like to have them on hand.
Let me run
Once
down
again,
the
mom
snack
of a
bar.
young boy.
Let me rate the
I-
snack bar.